welcome to the local campaign here on Rogers TV. We thank you for tuning in today. Today we will focus on the riding of Orleans. And before I get to an introduction to all of our candidates, I will go over the format because it differs from previous debate formats that we have here on Rogers TV. Due to different circumstances, we have moved to a virtual format with a question and answer session. So each candidate will get an opening statement, 60 seconds long. They will have 60 seconds for their opening statement, followed by a number of questions, which again, they'll have 60 seconds to answer each of those questions. And then we will end with a closing statement, 60 seconds for each of those closing statements for our candidates. I will introduce our candidates now in alphabetical order. Stephen Blay of the Liberal Party, Gabe Bourdon of the NDP, Ken Lewis of the Libertarian Party, Michelle Petersen of the Green Party, and Liam Randall of the New Blue Party. It is time for our opening statements. As I said, each candidate will have 60 seconds, and we start with Stephen Blay of the Liberal Party.
Well, thank you, Derek. Hello, my name is Stephen Blay, and I'm the Liberal candidate in Orleans. I grew up in Orleans. It's where I went to elementary school and high school. And it's where my wife and I decided to spend our lives together once we decided to raise our family. Over the past 40 years, I've seen the tremendous growth that has happened in our community and the challenges that growth has presented. That's why I've committed much of my professional life to moving Orleans forward by securing hundreds of millions of dollars in investments in recreation centers and schools, parks and bike paths, roads and transit, and attracting new businesses and paving the way for the Mo4 Health Hub. These last 2 years as your member of provincial parliament, I fought hard to secure funding for 2 new schools in our growing community. And a new Liberal government will ensure that we invest in those things that matter most to Orleans families, in schools, in healthcare, in public transit, and protecting the environment, and to ensure that those in the affordability challenge are addressed.
Gabe Bourdon of the NDP, you have 60 seconds for your opening statement.
Hello, my name is Gabe Bourdon. I am born and raised in Orleans, a longtime labor activist turned father of 2, who is now seeking to fight for a better present for my neighbors and a better future for my kids. As I've said, I'm new to politics. I'm getting involved because of several issues I have with the current provincial government and past provincial governments. Our institutions are suffering under their leadership, and it's incredibly important that we fight to preserve our public institutions. I'm also a proud Franco-Ontarian who wants to bring a Francophone voice to Queen's Park. We have too few Francophone voices in Queen's Park, and I want to fight to be one of those voices, making sure that Francophone rights and services are maintained and improved. Thank you.
Ken Lewis of the Libertarian Party, you have 60 seconds for your opening statement.
Hi, my name is Ken Lewis, and I'm the Libertarian candidate for Orleans. I was born in the Ottawa East area. I grew up in Overbrook and then around the Bathgate area. In my mid-20s, I decided to check out the road where I ended up in Germany, working alongside with our great soldiers as a civilian. It was during my travels I was able to see how foreign governments work, what was good for the people and what worked against the people. Since my return in 2008, I've owned and operated my own business. I want a better Ontario for everyone. This is why I stand in front of you today as a concerned citizen wanting to bring better choices to Ontario. Thank you.
Michelle Petersen of the Green Party, it's now time for your opening statement. You have 60 seconds.
Hello, and thanks for taking the time for being with us. I'd like to first acknowledge that I'm reaching you from the unceded territory of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe people. Since time immemorial, the Algonquin and Anishinaabe people have been the defenders and protectors of this land, as well as the Kichissippi River. The Green Party is committed to acting on the recommendations of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. We're also grateful for the teachings of the Haudenosaunee people, who have us consider the impacts of our decisions on the next 7 generations. When I think about the next 7 generations, I feel the urgency to act now. As a single mom and someone who's dedicated their career to social services, I've seen the cracks in the system, especially since this pandemic. People are worried about the future of their children, of the planet. We need new solutions to the old problems, and our platform clearly outlines a plan forward to create the Ontario you want with the leadership we need. Thank you.
Liam Randall of the New Blue Party, you have 60 seconds for your opening statement.
Okay, hello everybody. My name is Liam Randall. I'm the candidate to the New Blue Party of Ontario here in the riding of Orleans. Just a little bit of background on me. I have lived in the riding of Orleans for about a year and 3 months. Currently, my residence in Ontario has been a little all over the place. So I've been in Castleman. That was another place that I lived, and I also lived in Kapuskasing, so up there in the north as well. So my job is in regulation, and I have FaceTime with business owners almost every day of the week. I am running for this post to be MPP to you in the riding of Orleans, and I hope that you will be so supportive as to provide a vote to me. Thank you.
Our first question to get things started. Cost of living is perhaps the biggest issue for many in this election. What will you do to help people afford their day-to-day expenses? Stephen Blay of the Liberal Party, you have 60 seconds.
Thank you. Well, Stephen Del Duca, the leader of the Liberal Party, and our entire team have taken a pledge to make life more affordable for Ontario families. Our platform, called A Place to Grow, will reduce the cost of everyday essentials such as prepared foods, public transit to $1, and childcare, both for younger kids and before and after school care. And we're committing to pay for our healthcare workers and minimum wage earners more to ensure that they can address the challenges that affordability is having on all of us. So we're going to slash public transit fares to $1 right across the province. We're going to increase old age security by $1,000. We're going to remove HST from prepared foods under $20. We're going to bring back rent control on all homes. We're going to increase the minimum wage to $16 an hour and introduce a regional living wage. We're going to refund families $2,750 per child through a retroactive childcare plan to January of last year. And we're going to give new parents 18 months of parental leave without cutting EI benefits.
Same question. Gabe Bourdon of the NDP. The cost of living is perhaps the biggest issue for many in this election. What will you do to help people afford their day-to-day expenses?
The cost of living is definitely the number one issue I hear door to door. I think one of the ways to deal with the cost of living is to make sure that we have better services available for those who are struggling. We need strong healthcare, strong public education, so that they still have access to these services regardless of their financial situation. We need affordable childcare. We saw a government in Ontario completely fumble the amazing opportunity that was provided to bring $10 a day childcare to our province. They're still fumbling. They have not delivered to parents, and an Ontario government would prioritize delivering affordable childcare to Ontarians. We also need to restore public ownership of our electric grid. Look, we've seen hydro prices skyrocket. We saw Del Duca win government sell off our public assets, erode our revenue base, and really put our province in a tough position. So
okay,
Ontario
that's
government,
time.
An NDP government would fight.
Same question for Ken Lewis of the Libertarian Party. The cost of living is perhaps the biggest issue for many in this election. What will you do to help people afford their day-to-day expenses?
Well, thank you for that. One of the biggest concerns here in Ontario is the cost of living. And with taxation reaching almost 50%, we must learn to streamline how the government spends our money so that we have more money left in our pockets. One thing that we can do immediately is to raise the minimum taxable income to $30,000. That would put direct money into the people that need it, back into their pockets, the people that need it. We'll also cut the subsidies from all the corporations so that the taxpayers are not paying for these big companies. We want the people to keep the money in their pockets so that they can go out and spend it. Thank you.
Michelle Petersen of the Green Party, same question for you. Cost of living is perhaps the biggest issue for many in this election. What will you do to help people afford their day-to-day expenses?
Thank you so much. That's a great question. And it's definitely something I'm hearing as I'm knocking on the doors of my constituents. The first thing people ask is what we're going to do about the price of gas, of the cost of housing, of the cost of everything is going up, and food as well. The Green Party is presenting a vision that I feel is a vision that connects the dots. So about affordability, we need to think of building communities that make housing more affordable, that make food more affordable. And so we're supporting ideas like that one put forward by the City of Ottawa of 15-minute communities, where we invest in building deeply affordable housing, innovative solutions like building duplexes, triplexes to densify, but also making it easy to work, live, and play within a 15-minute radius, improving the quality of our life, but also improving green spaces, reducing gas emissions, and all in all, providing more livable and affordable communities for us.
Same question. Cost of living is perhaps the biggest issue for many in this election. What will you do to help people afford their day-to-day expenses? Liam Randall of the New Blue Party, you have 60 seconds.
So certainly that is a huge issue right now. We are seeing inflation explode. It's alarming. What can any party do? Well, the New Blue Party of Ontario has our plan to cut taxes. Axe the Doug Ford carbon tax is probably the first priority to provide a little bit of money in your pocket to take the HST down from 13% down to 10%. In addition to this, we do want to make Ontario the economic engine of Canada again, as much as possible. We aim for an annual GDP of 5%, whereas currently it is 1%. So this means getting everybody back to work and doing essentially what Doug Ford said that he would do, but actually following through on it.
Next question. The Ottawa region has had its fair share of difficulties with their public transit master plan, specifically the LRT. Regardless of what comes out of the provincial inquiry, will you help ensure residents get a system they can rely on? Gabe Bourdon of the NDP, you have 60 seconds.
Transportation, the LRT is a big issue here in Orleans. We've seen a transit system become more difficult to navigate. We've seen, leadership from the chair of the Transit Commission, who is now the incumbent in this riding, that just really absolutely made a lot of mistakes in bringing this public transit project forward. We need to work with municipalities to make sure that we're building public transportation for the future. We need to plan housing projects and commercial projects in alignment with this public transit framework that we're building. The NDP government wants to bring free public transit to all. We don't think your revenue should impact your ability to get around the city. It's so crucial for employment and for life in general to have access to transportation. So we'd invest in free public transit for all with an NDP government.
Same question to Ken Lewis of the Libertarian Party. The Ottawa region has had its fair share of difficulties with their public transit master plan, specifically the LRT. Regardless of what comes out of the provincial inquiry, will you help ensure residents get a system they can rely on?
The LRT in Ottawa, that is one of Ottawa's biggest downfall, unfortunately. Since day one when it opened, it did not run proper. And now the other problem is that it was designed to bring the people to the downtown core, which the federal government working from home right now, the people aren't going there. So they're not getting the ridership that they need to support this thing. It's paid for right now, going from Trim Road in Orleans out to the West End, Canada. It's going to be built. What we have to look at is how do we get more people using the transit system. There's going to have to be, as the provincial government doing right now, an inquiry to figure out how we can get the people back onto the transit, how we can get them back into the downtown core, because it doesn't look like the federal government's going to be doing it for Ottawa anytime soon. Thank you.
Michelle Petersen of the Green Party, same question. The Ottawa region has had its fair share of difficulties with their public transit master plan, specifically the LRT. Regardless of what comes out of the provincial inquiry, will you help ensure residents get a system they can rely on?
Absolutely. That's another frustration I'm hearing from people in Orleans. We're excited about the LRT, but we're also very skeptical about the LRT system. It's hard to envision. I live in the Avalon community, for example, and while the LRT is a great asset to our community, it's hard to imagine how I and people in my community are going to connect to the LRT in an efficient, effective way. And so the Green Party is looking at ways to invest in green infrastructure. The time of investing in highways is no longer sustainable. It's no longer what we need when we're thinking about the climate crisis ahead of us. So we want to increase walkability, bikeability, public transit. We want to invest in electric vehicles, but electric buses for public systems to reduce the emissions for buses. But basically creating the structure that makes it easy to take the bus in Orleans. I want to be able to get to Come and Glen smoothly, affordably, and quickly.
Liam Randall of the New Blue Party, same question for you as well. The Ottawa region has had its fair share of difficulties with their public transit master plan, specifically the LRT. Regardless of what comes out of the provincial inquiry, will you help ensure residents get a system they can rely on?
So the public transit system in Ottawa is one of many infrastructure projects that are ongoing in the city. It is one thing that has been approved to come out to Orleans at this time. So certainly helping to sustain that project is going to be a top priority. We look to essentially finish what we start. And when it comes to work projects like infrastructure work projects, it does provide jobs, it does provide an opportunity for people to be productive. So it's a top priority, and it's something that the New Blue Party of Ontario favors, is this type of productive creation through infrastructure. Yes.
Same question. The Ottawa region has had its fair share of difficulties with their public transit master plan, specifically the LRT. Regardless of what comes out of the provincial inquiry, will you help ensure residents get a system they can rely on? Stephen Blay of the Liberal Party, you have 60 seconds.
100%. No one has been a bigger transit champion for Orleans and for the city of Ottawa than me. Before I was elected to city council, there was no plan to bring LRT to Orleans. Everyone in Orleans can now see the train under construction, and in fact, Orleans is the only suburban community to get the electric train in stage 2 of the program. The LRT Commission will tell us what did happen or what didn't happen, but we need to continue planning to connect all of Ottawa with LRT. That's why we support phase 3 of the LRT program for the city of Ottawa. And beyond that, we're going to give cities $375 million to address their transit needs. And we're going to make transit $1. Buck a ride province-wide will reduce transit fares to get more people riding transit, to help keep more money in your pockets. And that translates to $40 a month for monthly pass holders. So public transit is a priority for me, and it's a priority for our party, and only the Ontario Liberals will truly get LRT in Ottawa right.
Next question. Funding for Ontario's public school system is always a priority issue for families with school-aged children. What do you feel is necessary to make sure Ontario public schools are of the highest quality in both education and infrastructure? Ken Lewis of the Libertarian Party, you have 60 seconds.
Or we want to put parents back in charge. Right now, the way the school system works is you're assigned to a school depending on what language you speak, what religion you have, and which area you live on. It's not a system that works. It's a one-size-fits-all. We want to give the parents the choice to put their child in the school that they need. So currently in Ontario, it's $14,821 is what it costs the government per year per student. We want to give that back to the parents as a voucher system so the parents can decide what's best for their child. If it's in a technical school, if it's learning engineer, it doesn't matter. I don't know the child, you don't know the child, the government doesn't know the child. It's the parents and the child that know each other, and we want to put you back in charge and give you the choice to do what you want with your child's education. Thank you.
Same question to Michelle Petersen of the Green Party. Funding for Ontario's public school system is always a priority issue for families with school-aged children. What do you feel is necessary to make sure Ontario public schools are of the highest quality in both education and infrastructure?
You know, as a mom of an 8-year-old, I've seen how the pandemic has deeply affected our children and our youth. We definitely need to invest in our school systems. We're talking about eliminating the EQAO testing. Eliminating that will provide extra funding so that we can invest in our school systems, whether that's providing monies so that the school systems can upgrade the quality of the spaces themselves and make retrofitting of the infrastructure so that we have safe schools for our children, but also in providing resources to children, reducing the class sizes so that it's a more pleasant experience for them. We're definitely not supporting going online because we've seen how tremendously that has impacted our youth, and we know they need those strong connections with their friends and their teachers and their communities. So we're looking at investing in those communities and those networks.
Liam Randall of the New Blue Party, same question for you. Funding for Ontario's public school system is always a priority issue for families with school-aged children. What do you feel is necessary to make sure Ontario public schools are of the highest quality in both education and infrastructure?
So currently, the view of myself as the candidate and the party is that the public school system, we see the curriculum as becoming very politicized. We are more interested in essentially preventing it from being hijacked, preventing it from being hijacked by critical race theory or CRT. We look to have school become essentially the core of the students' ability to go out and succeed in the world. When it comes to funding this, there is not a lot of change on the agenda. However, we do seek to essentially support what's in existence and to guard against the radical aspects that are infiltrating it.
Same question. Funding for Ontario's public school system is always a priority issue for families with school-aged children. What do you feel is necessary to make sure Ontario public schools are of the highest quality in both education and infrastructure? Stephen Blay of the Liberal Party, you have 60 seconds.
As a parent of a school-aged child, education and what's happening in our schools is top of mind for me and my family every single day. Too many of our kids are learning in oversized classrooms and crowded schools. And that's why we've committed to spending $10 billion over 5 years to build 200 new schools across Ontario, including schools in Orleans, and to renovate 4,500 additional schools so that we can bring class sizes down to 20. We know that children learn better in smaller classes and with more attention from their teachers. And so smaller class sizes will improve results. And we're going to pay for those investments by canceling a highway in Toronto that won't save any time and will destroy forests and farmland and help hurt the environment. We're also going to provide an optional grade 13 for those kids who have been struggling during COVID, learning from home. So give them an extra year before they go to college or university or into the trade so they can learn about mental health and home budgeting and all sorts of other essentials.
Gabe Bourdon of the NDP, same question for you. Funding for Ontario's public school system is always a priority issue for families with school-aged children. What do you feel is necessary to make sure Ontario public schools are of the highest quality in both education and infrastructure?
We need to bring back our public education system from all of the destructive measures that have been brought forward by subsequent Liberal and Conservative governments. In education, we need to invest in students. The last 2 years have been so difficult on students who have not been able to adapt to online learning, who are literally 2 years behind their classmates. We have teachers that have no education assistants, EAs. And they need these EAs. These students need these EAs. We can't have one teacher for 30 kids with behavioral issues, learning disabilities, all mixed in. That is not putting the focus on students and their development. An NDP government would come in, invest in our education system, support teachers and provide educational resources to them so that they can help our kids bridge this gap that's been created by the lack of leadership during this pandemic in the education sector.
Next question. What measures would you put in place to make housing more affordable to Ontarians? Michelle Petersen of the Green Party, you have 60 seconds.
Like I said, housing is really on the mind of residents of Orleans. I myself moved back to Orleans in 2015 when I separated. And at that time, I was already quite stressed about how I was going to be able to afford it living on my own. Rent seemed unaffordable. Purchasing a home seemed unaffordable. And I was very privileged to have the support of my family to get me through that period. It's taken me about 5 to 7 years to get back on my feet financially. So I fully understand how stressful it is for people who are in situations looking for housing. So we're looking at building permanently affordable rental homes. We're looking at investing in 60,000 mental health wraparound service units as well, because we connect the links between trauma, mental health, and addiction, and we believe in a housing first approach. But all in all, we need to invest again in that affordable, livable communities so people can be close to the ones they love and buy houses in the neighborhoods where they want to live.
Same question to you, Liam Randall of the New Blue Party. What measures would you put in place to make housing more affordable to Ontarians?
So while the housing issue is much a federal issue, the province does have initiatives and it does have a say in the economics of the situation here. Housing supply needs to go up, and that's just a no-brainer. Housing supply is at a critical shortage, and the youth right now who are getting into the workforce, who are getting out of school, are in a crisis. So we're looking to essentially, we're not looking to lock down the province again. We're not looking to stop production. Stopping production has really created the dreaded situation that we're in. So we're looking to get rid of that red tape, increase GDP to 5% annually, and get everybody to work.
Stephen Blay of the Liberal Party, same question for you. What measures would you put in place to make housing more affordable to Ontarians?
Well, we've seen Doug Ford and his government present 4 different housing plans in their 4 years. And when they came into office, the average house price in Ontario was $500,000. It's now over $1 million. We need to address the housing affordability crisis, and Ontario Liberals have a detailed plan to do that. We're going to invest and create something called the Ontario Housing Corporation that's going to take unused provincial land and bring it into the market with mixed-use communities. And we're going to focus the sale of those on first-time home buyers to allow young people to get into the marketplace and start building equity and move through the home ownership and achieve the dream of home ownership. We're also going to invest in social and affordable housing so that we can truly address the wait list that exists. And of course, we're increasing the minimum wage and other economic factors that will help more people earn a better living, keep more money in their pockets, which will help them afford to pay their rent and hopefully buy a home.
Gabe Bourdon of the NDP, same question for you. What measures would you put in place to make housing more affordable to Ontarians?
The housing question is just as important as the cost of living question. I bought a house in 2017 because luckily I had the means to do so. And I now find myself like I won the lottery. I have friends who are as well as I was in 2017, if not better, that can't even dream of purchasing a house right now. I cannot imagine how those who were trying to scrape up their savings to buy a house must feel given the new prices of housing. We need provincial leadership. Previous provincial governments, the Wendell Dukas or the Fords, have downloaded the responsibility of housing onto municipalities, among many other downloaded costs. Very convenient to balance the budget, but it leaves the housing crisis growing by the day. We need to cool the market by taxing speculation, taxing vacancy, pardon me. And we need a government that comes in that cares. That's really the main thing here. Our government does not have developer friends and extremely rich speculating buddies. We are looking to fight for the people who are seeking housing.
But
we need to
you've
help
run out of time.
first-time home buyers. we have plans to do exactly that.
What measures would you put in place to make housing more affordable to Ontarians? Ken Lewis of the Libertarian Party, you have 60 seconds.
Well, the housing here in Ottawa, it's gone crazy. We're looking at 20-25% increases, more in some places. One of the big costs with housing here in anywhere across Ontario is the land transfer tax. Currently, right now, you pay the government a percentage of the sale price. It makes no sense. It costs approximately $450 for the government to do this, and we will charge you that $450, not these thousands and thousands of dollars, even double the amount in Toronto, because they have the Toronto and the provincial land transfer tax. So that's one way we'll do it, is we will charge you a flat rate for the land transfer tax. We will put the money directly back in your pocket so that we're not giving it to the government.
Next question. Climate change is an important issue for many. How would you suggest the province go about cutting greenhouse gas emissions? Liam Randall of the New Blue Party, you have 60 seconds.
So while climate change is a priority for certain Ontarians, the New Blue Party of Ontario, essentially, we take the stance that hydrocarbon energy is it's the energy that we have, it's the energy that's available, it's economic, it is sustainable, and essentially, when it comes to science, there's conflicting science. It's not. It's certainly not. The science is not settled. It is not decided, and we're actually committed to taking down wind turbines in the province as a matter of improving the electrical costs that each one of us has in our household bills.
Stephen Blay of the Liberal Party, same question for you. Climate change is an important issue for many. How would you suggest the province go about cutting greenhouse gas emissions?
Well, we have a detailed plan to reduce greenhouse gas emissions in Ontario to 50% of levels by 2030 and to be completely neutral by 2050. And we're going to do that by reducing our reliance on the burning of natural gas for electricity production. How are we going to do that? We're going to invest in small nuclear reactors, small modular nuclear reactors to increase the supply of electricity and continue efforts on renewables. We're also going to make it easier for families to afford to buy an electric car by bringing back the $8,000 grant for electric car purchases. It will give you $13,000 in total when combined with the federal option. And we're going to provide opportunities for investments in home charging stations and also charging stations for municipalities and strip malls and small businesses so that we can expand the electric vehicle market. Ontario Liberals were the first to be there with electric vehicles, and only Ontario Liberals will ensure electric vehicles are affordable for middle-class families.
Gabe Bourdon of the NDP, same question for you. Climate change is an important issue for many. How would you suggest the province go about cutting greenhouse gas emissions?
An NDP government, we are the only ones committing to 50% cuts on emissions provincially by 2030, full net zero by 2050. We're looking to do that by reintroducing cap and trade. So we need to cap emissions because they continue to grow without this cap. And we need to provide an incentive for industry to join in and collaborate on this effort. We had a government in Doug Ford that pit the environment versus the economy, and we need to do the complete opposite of that. And at the intersection, build the green sector within our economy. That is the leadership that is lacking in this province. That's the leadership that Andrea Horwath and the NDP could bring. By providing these credits, we are making it profitable to be green, and industry will follow suit. We need to make good behavior profitable and work with industry to cap emissions and reduce them going forward.
Same question for Ken Lewis of the Libertarian Party. Climate change is an important issue for many. How would you suggest the province go about cutting greenhouse gas emissions?
Everybody has to do their part when it comes to the environment. We have great recycling programs all across the province and all that. Unfortunately, we have, you take hydro, for example. Ontario has the best hydro with Niagara Falls. The taxpayers actually own it, but yet we only use about 40% of the actual hydro there, which is one of the most friendliest hydros that we can have. We also have the Quebec coming over, willing to supply us with more hydro, green friendly hydro, coming through transmission lines over in Cumberland that are already built. We just need the government to sign these contracts. We need the Niagara Falls to run at 80%, not at 40%. And just those two alone will cut the emissions down. Thank you.
Climate change is an important issue for many. How would you suggest the province go about cutting greenhouse gas emissions? Michelle Petersen of the Green Party, you have 60 seconds.
Well, to be completely frank, 60 seconds is not enough for the Green Party to detail its full climate plan. We have a 150-page document that's a full roadmap to get us to net zero by 2045. We have a lot of propositions that really connect the dots between housing, affordability, and climate action. And we want to take what's happening with the climate crisis and turn it into an opportunity for Ontario. We believe that if we invest in our community in our province, we can make Ontario a world leader in clean tech, for example. So we're talking about offering education programs to 60,000 people who will get access to free green technology programs, so that we're building the job market for this rising industry that's really on the verge of exploding here in the province, and we can really be a leader if we invest in that.
It is now time for our closing statements. A reminder, each candidate has 60 seconds, and we will do that in reverse alphabetical order, beginning with Liam Randall of the New Blue Party. You have 60 seconds for your closing statement.
So as a closing statement, I would just like to thank you for your interest in the New Blue Party. And I just wanted to say, essentially, my reason for running has been I look for a challenge in my life. I look to do things that have never been done. I look to do what many people say is impossible. I think that improving the life of Ontarians and improving the life of those who live in Orleans is a great challenge, and something that's worth fighting for, and is also anything but impossible. If you can envision it, you can create it. So that's what I have to say to you guys. So thank you for tuning in, and I appreciate your support on June 2nd.
Michelle Petersen of the Green Party, your closing statement. You have 60 seconds.
As a Franco-Ontarian, a single mom, and someone who has dedicated their career to social services, I feel I'll represent the needs of our community. I'm prepared to collaborate across party lines with my colleagues at Queen's Park so that we can quickly and effectively address the most pressing issues of our time: affordability, mental health, and climate action. Our leader, Mike Schreiner, has demonstrated how impactful just one passionate person at Queen's Park can be. He was the only MVP to speak out against Doug Ford's license plate gimmick. As Greens, we don't want to buy your vote, we want to earn it. Our housing strategy has been called a masterclass plan by the Toronto Star. We're taking mental health out of the shadows and pushing all parties to address the mental health and drug poisoning crisis in the province. And last but not least, our roadmap to net zero is a clear, detailed plan to get Ontarians on track to meeting targets with innovative and immediate action. So please check out our full platform and see for yourself. We're presenting the best policies for the Ontario you want, with the leadership you need.
Ken Lewis of the Libertarian Party, it's now time for your closing statement. You have 60 seconds.
So the Libertarian Party of Ontario has a plan to offer choice and return power to the people. It is a lofty goal, but it is what each Libertarian believes in. Changing government overnight is not easy, but given the hard-working taxpayers of Ontario's, control and choice can be done right away. We need your support. We need you to support our ideas and plans. We need the average Ontario residents to say enough is enough to ever tightening control over our rights and over the never-ending revenue tools, also called taxes. Instead of more of the same, we need the people of Ontario to send a clear message to the big three. We will give you what matters most: choice and freedom. Vote for less government, vote for more choice, vote Libertarian. Libertarian.on.ca or vote for Ken Lewis on Facebook. Thank you.
Gabe Bourdon of the NDP. It's now time for your closing statement. You have 60 seconds.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak today. If there's anything we've learned over the past decade, it's that liberals and conservatives aren't there for everyday people like you and me. We've seen an endless pattern of empty promises. It's time we have a government that works for everyone. As your NDP candidate in Orleans, I vow to stand up for everyone in this riding. I'm new to politics. I'm not a career politician. I want to be a representative that speaks for the people of Orleans by listening first and foremost to the people of Orleans and bringing their concerns and issues forward, bringing solutions to these issues forward in a hopeful and optimistic way. Too few people in politics speak with hope and optimism, and we need to bring that forward. We need to think and listen and speak with love if we're going to resolve the issues that are facing us today and tomorrow. And I look forward to being a soldier in that fight for the people of Orleans and across Ontario. Thank you again for the opportunity.
Stephen Blay of the Liberal Party, you have 60 seconds for your closing statement.
Well, it's been an honor and a pleasure to represent the residents of Orleans at Queen's Park these last 2 years during the difficult years of COVID, and for many years before that as city councillor in Cumberland Ward. And we've achieved a lot of big results together, whether it's hundreds of millions of dollars invested in the Francois Dupuis Centre and Millennium Park, getting LRT to Orleans, and the other major investments that we've seen across our community. That's exactly what we need at Queen's Park, a champion who knows Orleans, who knows the issues in Orleans, who can fight for us to make sure that we get our investments so we can plan a second phase of the Mo4 Health Hub so that we can build the schools we desperately need in Avalon as our community continues to grow, and can plan an Orleans that has mixed-use communities, has apartments available for seniors to downsize, has businesses available for entrepreneurs to start up a business and locate in Orleans. On June 2nd, you have a choice. I think the choice is clear. I hope I have your support.
Thank you to all of our candidates for joining us today. We certainly appreciate your time, and thank you for tuning in. A reminder, please get out there and vote, and we certainly encourage you to tune in to Rogers TV for our in-depth coverage on election night.